Trying to win.
I'm gonna win. Okay.
I got it. I don't know.
Well, I did the same thing. Well, I thought you'd do something different. So recently, one of my sweet friends actually reached out to me about hair and makeup, and I straight up told her I have no idea. I have no idea what hair and makeup costs at all.
No.
And I think, I'll be honest, maybe it's time we actually talk about it.
100%.
Absolutely.
I'm gonna make a drink.
Okay, because guess what?
It's good. What?
I've got a friend here.
We have a friend
who knows way more about this stuff. Hi. Have a seat. Welcome to the Orange Couch.
Thank you.
I love
Thanks
it.
for having me.
So you have to tell the people. Give them your name, what you do, who you are.
I'm Samantha. I have been in the beauty industry for 20 years now. I hate admitting that out loud, but here we are. And I own Chop Chop Beauty Club, which is an on-site hair and makeup team, and we will travel anywhere you want us to.
Anywhere.
Anywhere.
Where
Take me to Hawaii.
Where are we
I don't
located?
care. We are located in Knoxville, and we have a team in Chattanooga as well. So those are our two primary places, but I would say we spend a lot of time, I'm sure just like you, in the Smokies too.
Yes,
So,
I don't know anybody who does not spend as much time in the Smokies.
Yeah, I love it. I love coming from a plain state of Illinois.
Oh,
it's so
same.
nice to be surrounded by mountains while I'm at work.
When you're like driving through and you can see the farm that's literally like 100 miles all the way down. It's definitely different down here in Tennessee.
Much less likely to fall asleep while driving here.
Well, tell us a little bit then, how did you get from the flat state down to the mountains?
I've always been an outdoor girly, loved it. But I was obviously trapped in Illinois. Not, you drive 2 or 3 hours there and it still looks the same. So here we kind of, my husband and I made a list of like things that we were looking for out of a place that we wanted to live, and mountains, but still a city like Knoxville, where you can still have access to amenities and things, and him being a tattoo artist and me, obviously in the beauty industry, we still needed to be by people.
Right.
So it's really just been the perfect location, honestly.
It really is.
It really is.
And it's also a wedding destination place
Totally.
as well. So that hits all the marks.
Totally.
You guys ready?
Oh, thank you, girl.
Thank you.
There you go.
Thank you, ma'am.
Let me get my glass and we'll cheers.
much.
Oh wait. Oh.
She's
Well,
like,
I'm
no,
already
let me
on.
just
I'm
dive
in it.
right
All right.
in.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers. Fabulous.
Okay.
I get my caffeine for sure
So good.
today. So tell me, Brittany's already made fun of me for my clipboard.
Love it.
We're very official.
You look very official. I was just going to say that.
This is my brain. This is my brain. So, when I just said that I had a friend reach out to me about like who she should go to or what she's looking for, I really don't know because as a photographer, I can say, well, what should you look out for as a photographer for prints or hours or locations or stuff like that. So what is it if somebody's just flipping open Google right now and they're thinking about planning their wedding? What's the first thing you think they should be mindful of?
Yeah, I think it can be really overwhelming because there are honestly so many choices and everyone looks similar, so it can be hard to understand what you're getting for, the price that you're paying and things like that. So a few pieces of info that I think would be super helpful. One, your budget. What is your ideal budget for your hair and makeup as the person getting married, the bride getting married? And then what is your overall budget for the people in your party as well? So that's the number one thing, because that's instantly going to eliminate a lot of vendors if they're above or below your budget.
So when I think budget, that can mean like a lot of things.
Okay.
Like some people who spend, like go maybe routinely and get their hair done, like extensions or like lashes or things like that. But as somebody maybe who really doesn't do that routinely, what is a budget, or is there just a range? Like you can go $50 to
There's a
$400
range.
bucks?
There's a range. I always say that there is a price point for everyone, and that every artist has a price point.
Okay.
And every client, there's an artist out there that's going to match their price point. Because you can have anyone, and I want to make this clear too from the start. In no way today do I want to dog on lower price points or higher price points. Like,
right.
We're here to just talk about the differences and not, no one's getting down on any of those things. There's just differences, based on what you're spending. Because if you are at, a lower price point, it might be someone that is newly out of school, learning, training. You're going to get your very budget-friendly artists that way, which is awesome because that gives them experience and then it stays within your budget. Then you have artists that are working solo. Maybe they've been doing it 2 to 5 years. They're going to be a tier up. It's really similar to where if you were working an office job and you are introductory versus 5 years in versus 10 years in, your prices are going to raise over time because you've learned more. You have that experience to back up that price point. So truly, and I will say, like, moving from Chicago to here, that has made, I've noticed a huge difference.
Okay.
Chicago, I do feel like there is a range, but it's a much smaller range. And here I have noticed very much, it's a much wider range of service costs.
So like cost-wise, maybe, something like 100 to 2. What would be a range? Like, for example, when you think of that range in Chicago.
Well, in Chicago, I would say you're not going to get anyone to do your makeup for under $100.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then, when I was there, I was charging $315,
Okay.
So, but that is not even on the high end anymore in Chicago.
Okay.
But here, I've seen people as low as $50, and then I've seen people as high as $500.
Yeah.
And we're
Okay.
talking per service,
Okay.
So it's a much wider range
so
here.
$100 for hair, $100 for makeup.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. Whenever I talk about numbers, it'll be like per service, not like a total for, the entire party. Because if you can kind of break down like what either if your party is paying or you're going to pay for your party, how much do you want to pay per person?
Okay.
That's a great place to start.
That's
Will
helpful.
that start per person, and then is there a range within each person that, like, so let's say I don't need hair extensions and I don't need lashes, or I want a different kind of makeup. Is there a base there, and then each person can go up within a range there, like on a wedding day, or
Every
no?
company's going to do it different.
Okay.
Yeah, there's no set standard for something like that. The way I run Chop Chop, we do everything all inclusive because I just don't like the nickel and dime vibe.
Okay.
So, our price points are, so you can have lashes, you can have airbrush if you want. We even include gratuity into our on-site prices.
Really?
Because we want it to be, easy, set it, forget it. And we want to make sure our artists are fairly compensated as well.
Yeah.
But a lot of times there'll be more a la carte pricing where it's like you can have this much for, you can spend this much and then you're not going to get lashes, but you can add lashes for $25. So on the front end, it can sound less expensive, but a lot of times once you've added up all of the additional things that you most likely want, the prices are pretty similar, really.
That's a good way to put it. So when people reach out then to, let's say they open Google, they land on Chop Chop and they inquire with you, what is the main or first thing you hope that they have? That doesn't mean they have to have all their
Right.
ducks in a row when they're planning or like getting hair and makeup set. But what's the one thing that you prefer out of everything? Is it date, venue, people? What is it?
There's probably 3 pieces of info that I really want every time I speak to a bride. And again, every company is going to have their own standards. So I'm just speaking to what mine is. Date, obviously very important, but location is going to be important. Even if you don't necessarily have a venue totally nailed down yet, just having this city will allow us to give you a more accurate estimate for travel and things like that. And then the number of people in your party is pretty important. But we know that sometimes you're planning this like a year in advance, a year and a half in advance, and you might not know that. And so we usually recommend booking the minimum the minimum amount of services for the amount of artists that you want to have on hand.
Okay.
So, for example, on weekends, we have a 4-service minimum per artist. That is how, in my opinion, we are able to work with some of the best artists in the city. We guarantee them a certain level of pay every weekend.
So say that again, 4 services per artist. So is that hair, makeup?
So it could be, it's
Okay.
just a service, hair or makeup, but
Okay.
that's one of them. So then 4 services per artist. So
Okay.
yeah, it's not too much. It's usually pretty easy because even that really is only hair and makeup for 2 people.
Yeah.
So if it's just you
Right.
and one other person, it usually covers it. But say you know that you have 10 bridesmaids, okay? Which it happens.
Yeah. Oh, it does. It does.
But you don't know how many people want to get hair and makeup services yet because it's a year out. It's like herding cats getting information sometimes from a large
Yeah.
group. So we totally get that. So I usually recommend then figuring out how many artists you want to book. And for a group like 10, that's 20 services if everyone wants to get
Right.
something done. So minimum, you're going to want to have 2 artists, even if half those people get that done. So then I suggest let's book the minimum artist. So the minimum amount for 2 artists.
Okay.
So then we'll book the 8 services,
Okay.
4 for each artist, and then we can add services on from there. And again, this is different based on the company, but for us, it's a lot easier to add on services versus take them away because again, we like to guarantee our artists a certain level of pay. And so we don't remove services 90 days before the wedding.
Right. Like, because they're guaranteed that. So
Right.
really, you can't, there's going to be a threshold,
Right.
No matter what, if this artist is coming out to your wedding, you're expecting to pay this period.
Right.
And then you can add up from there. I guess you could take away, but then nothing like really 90-day changes. You're not
Right, and
wanting.
you couldn't take away so many that then the artist doesn't meet the minimum anymore.
Got it.
And honestly, this is a great indicator of what type of either person or company you want to work for as well.
Mm-hmm.
Because some artists that are working more solo and they don't have a large company behind them, they don't have booking minimums, you know? So that might be someone that might work better for you
Mm-hmm.
if you aren't sure, or if you think it really could be just you.
Yeah.
But when you work with a company, most of the time you're going to have a minimum, a service minimum.
Okay, so one of the things that you wanted to know was date. So I think we went over all of them. We went over the date, kind of a general area or venue that you're getting ready in, and then like an estimated number of people.
An estimated number of people, and this is just for me. I'm not sure other artists or teams feel this way, but I also love to see at least one inspo pic. Something that we do that I think sets us a little apart from other companies is we try to pair them with the best suited artist based on their aesthetic. We really, we don't look at this as like a number, like we're just booking you with whoever, because beauty is so incredibly personal and we want to respect that. And so if you're a natural girly, we're not going to pair you with a super glam artist.
Oh, I never even really thought about that.
Yeah, and I think that's something that isn't always taken into consideration because we just want to take bookings. But I would honestly rather turn a booking away than pair them with the wrong fitted artist. And that's not to say some artists on the team are better than others. They just we have different styles, aesthetic, things that like make us happy, So we even honestly, because I often do a consult call with my brides, I love to even just kind of like vibe out on the energy a little bit and be like, oh, her energy would match her energy really well. Like, let's pair them together. So we really try to have that extra personal touch to things. Because again, it's your wedding day. It's so important. It's like the last thing you need is someone's vibe to not match yours, and then it's I've seen it happen. I've been in this business for so long, Like, I've been mismatched vibe wise, like it happens. But that's something as the owner of the company, I try really hard to not allow to happen.
So in order to get like a better vibe, you had used a term earlier. And I can't remember it now, but it's not trials, it's
previews.
Yes. Okay, so explain that. What are previews then if you're looking in hair and makeup? What does that mean?
So we like to call them a preview. Most other people call them trials. The reason I don't like trials is because you've already chosen us. We're not on trial. We are here to have an exchange.
Get a gavel.
Right. It feels so stressful. I'm sweating, So no, I like it to feel a little bit more like a collaborative effort. And truly it's a preview of your wedding day look. So I always recommend to our clients as well, wear whatever color you're wearing on your wedding day, typically white, wear a similar neckline, like don't come in a hoodie and a turtleneck. Yes.
Yeah,
It makes
okay.
a big
That's
difference. 'Cause,
huge,
like,
though.
if you are going for ultra glam and you're coming in like a sweatshirt with stains on it, the vibe's gonna feel off.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh,
it's
I
not-
never
That's
thought of
such a
that.
good point.
Yeah.
Well, because now they're doing like what those like color analysis things that you see on
Yes.
TikTok, where obviously
I'm
like
a cool summer.
right, cool
Right.
summer,
Yeah.
warm summer. But you're right, you're gonna be in white,
You're
so
right.
wear
Yeah.
white.
Yes, and
That's-
I
yeah.
typically recommend doing it within the season that you're getting married. I'm a pasty girl. I got a spray tan, and so I'm a little less. But if I'm getting married in June and I get my preview in February,
Yeah.
it's gonna look different.
Yeah.
So
That's-
we usually recommend within the season that you're going to get married, because then your hair color, your skin tone, things
Okay.
like that
So smart.
are gonna be similar. Your skin's really dry in the winter. Like, just everything reads different.
Right.
based on
But
the
you're not
season.
saying like I'm getting married in June 1 year, and so like come preview June and then next June. Are you saying within like that summer sort
Yeah,
of, or
I would
like
say
how early?
sometime in the spring. We typically recommend within 90 days.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
90 days. But on occasion, we do have brides that will do their preview a year in advance because they want to do it before signing a contract, which
Oh,
is
okay.
totally
Yeah.
understandable. And we offer two options for that. You know, if you are booking a preview without a signing, it just costs the same as a regular bridal day rate. If you're booking a preview as a client, you get a bit of a discount.
Okay.
But I personally love the previews to be long and luxurious, and just like, I love collaboration. So we
Yeah.
book them for an hour and a half per service.
Nice.
So it's a 3-hour appointment,
Yeah.
which sounds like a lot, but if you're someone that's coming in and you don't know what you want, you don't normally do hair and makeup.
Yeah.
And it's
Us.
the thing, yes, the thing I say in the email, emails all the time is, I have no idea what I'm doing. I like this photo, but I don't know anything about hair.
I don't know
and
how to
makeup.
describe
Right.
this photo, but I like it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and if we are in this like crazy crunch timeline where we have an hour to talk and complete your look, we're not going to be able to like have a thorough enough consultation to like
Yeah.
really hash it out. Because ultimately, this is the first time I've met you
Yeah.
as a client, you know, like, yes, we've emailed and stuff, but it's different if you're doing hair and makeup on someone that you know. If they give you 1 or 2 words of explanation, you got it.
Right.
Right.
But if it's someone you've never met, you're seeing them in their work clothes, like, you have no idea who they
Yeah.
are
Yeah.
when they go out and get dressed up. So that's actually some background information that we ask too, is like, what do you like to do on a night out? You know, like when you get
Oh.
ready, so we know and can understand better what you're comfortable with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So booking the previews for an hour and a half each just really gives us enough time to hash it out, talk about it, and then I love to take photos after, and then the artist can write down all the tools and products that they use, so then they can seamlessly recreate the look on their wedding day.
I like that.
Amazing.
So, you know, when you're talking about like photos that they send and they like, you know, when we were sending in our own stuff, you know, you get on Pinterest, you get online, and for me, I was like, okay, I feel like I at least know enough that I should be picking something that is a brunette and blue eyes.
Good
Okay,
job.
got there. But then I will tell you, when I got looking, I could not tell if it was a real photo of a real person or AI.
This is my stressful point.
Because it's like, can
How?
you do makeup for something, an aesthetic, on some person that is really not real? Is there pressure to do that, or do you in that consultation, like, this person isn't real,
Yes.
and this is
That will be the first
Yeah.
thing I say, yes.
okay? Yeah. So tell us about that.
You have pores, so it's
Right.
gonna look different,
Right.
you know. But yeah, this is a new thing that I feel like we're battling. But honestly, Pinterest has been the best and worst thing to happen to lots of industries. It's great to have this place that I can type in like boho hair with weird floral crown, and like 3,000 things pop
Yeah.
up. You know,
Right.
it's awesome. But setting realistic expectations for our clients is the most important thing we can do. And so, and I try to train all my artists this way as well. I'm like, you might sound like you are saying no, but you are just setting yourself and them up for success, helping them understand what is all in this look.
Right. Yep.
And for example, that's where our Dream Hair Club membership came from. It's a hair rental extension service, because every hairstyle you see on Pinterest she got clip-ins.
She has clip-ins. No one's hair is that
I was
big.
like, nobody has
No.
just 12 pounds of hair magically
No.
with like all of it up. So we rent hair extensions because I wanted to make achieving their hair goals much more accessible.
Yeah.
And frankly, it makes our work look 10 times better.
That's
adding
true.
That hair
If you
in
have the
there.
tools to make that dream an actual reality.
Right, exactly. But, you know, as far as makeup, yes, setting realistic expectations. And then I really like to dissect the photos with my clients.
Okay.
I will immediately ask them, what do you like about this? What is your favorite thing about this photo? Because, you know, obviously it's a different face. She is probably perfect because it's not real. As if women's beauty standards weren't already difficult
tough is
enough,
like
by
literally.
the way. Yeah. So I'll ask, like, what's your favorite detail in their makeup or hair? And they'll tell me. And I make sure then to include that, even if other things have to be adjusted to fit the event, the outfit, the face shape, whatever it is, then we know to include that pink cheek, or we know to include that matte lip, you know, like just kind of dissecting the favorite things versus looking at the thing, the picture as a whole, kind of picking apart like what you like.
That's
in
really
there.
good.
But setting realistic expectations is the number one job.
Okay, we're going to take a quick break to talk about our sponsor. This episode is sponsored by Chop Chop Beauty Club.
My name is Samantha, and I'm the owner and creative director of Chop Chop Beauty Club. We are a luxury on-site hair and makeup team, and we make sure that not only is your wedding day service exactly what you're looking for, but we work really hard on the back end to make sure that the whole booking and scheduling process is seamless. I like to say that we are a set it and forget it type of company. You have so many things that you are dealing with when you're planning a wedding. You're booking photographers, you're booking catering, things like that. We don't want to be one more thing on your to-do list. So we have all of our communication perfectly timed out, so you never have to reach out to us. We will always reach out to you for whatever milestone is around the corner. Our genderless and all-inclusive service menu ensures that you will get exactly the service that is for you. Whether that is a more skincare forward makeup service, if you don't really like to wear a lot of makeup, or if you need to rent hair extensions, our Dream Hair Club is for you. So we have all the tips and tricks to make your wedding or special event perfect.
So thank you, Sam, for providing incredible services for brides and grooms everywhere. We absolutely adore you. So thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Do you feel like, especially since we're in sort of like get ready with me, right? And there's so many people doing their makeup and so much sort of like online education or things of that sort, if you call it education. I don't know.
Loose word.
It's a very loose. Do you see a lot of brides coming in that think one thing and it's a different thing? And maybe the other side is they have a pretty good grasp on it. They just need somebody else to do it, or like, and the spectrums, are you seeing more or less of one thing than another?
It's all over the place, really. I would say being a vet in this industry, the funniest thing to me is when they bring in like new terms, you know? They're like, I can't even think of one because I'm old and I don't keep up with these things. But like, it'll be a technique that we've had forever, but TikTok or Instagram has like branded it with a new word, you know? When I was coloring hair, it was tortoiseshell hair and things like that. It's like, that's just like brown and blonde highlights.
Oh, I don't even know. I never colored my hair, so that was like a.
That's amazing. That's why it's so healthy.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you. I'll take it. Absolutely. So coming in with everything. So, you know, when a lot of the stuff that you talked about with the cost, I kind of want to go back to that was, you know, you have a company, you have people, and then all inclusive and making sure that the stylist is getting paid.
Right.
So, you know, it seems like you're really focused on making sure that this is it's a job that they do that they can afford to do, they can pay their bills, that they are not out Put that into better words for me, actually, than what I'm trying to say.
Thank
you.
I know exactly what you're trying to say. And as a business owner and a lifelong artist, this is probably the thing closest to my heart and something that I hope to make a difference in here, honestly, is artists being paid fairly for their work.
Yeah.
I think a lot of times, we, especially 10 years ago, stuck in the mindset of like, service-based industries just don't make that much money, and so everyone has to have another job and things like that. But you have to think too, what happens then when this person is already stretched too thin? She's doing your wedding 7 o'clock in the morning after working all night because she had to. Like, do you think she's going to perform the best? Probably not.
Right.
No. Right.
And so that's another reason why that's important to me. I want everyone to be rested, not in survival mode. We cannot create from a place of survival mode. Ask me. I've tried.
Let's go.
Yeah. When you're just trying to get through life and then like aesthetically, like everything's fine.
Not sustainable.
The world is burning.
It doesn't work.
Not
Like it might
sustainable.
work for a minute, but that's not how you create long-term sustainability or success. And I'm here to build both of those things. And having a team that feels happy, relaxed, like they're going to play more. They're going to experiment more. And guess what they can afford now? Classes. They can educate themselves more.
That's
and
true.
as a team, something that we're committed to is education as well. And so if as a team, we're being paid fairly, we can afford to send our artists to education or do in-house education and things like that. So, not only are the artists just going to be in a better mood, well rested because they can pay their bills and things like that, but they're also going to be able to elevate their skill set. And even, things like where we are right now, this studio.
Yeah.
It's a freelance studio for artists. They can afford to rent a space at a studio to take their clients versus driving around all town, setting up in weird bathrooms and kitchens of people that they've never met before, potentially putting themselves at risk. Like, you can come and rent a space to, freelance and work. It's just, it is so important to me that artists see their value because they are. I mean, they're the last people that you see on wedding days before, the photographers
we come
get
in,
there.
right.
We are in charge of setting the tone, honestly. Like if I have an artist that I feel like doesn't, or if I do an interview that I feel like they're not going to set a good tone for that morning, I'm not going to bring them on the team because that's just as important to me as the actual service is like the energy that they're bringing.
We see it.
I could see like if you're getting ready on your wedding day and an artist is coming in and they're just tired. They're like, oh, I was doing this and now I'm here. It's like, well, I'm sorry to inconvenience on my wedding day for you to get here.
And then they have old products because they can't afford to restock. Do you know how much foundation costs? This stuff's not cheap. And then as we should, but we have to have all of the shades. We can't just buy one $50 bottle of foundation. We have to buy 10 of them.
Right.
So, and again, as we should, my kit is fully stocked with those things, but you have to be able to afford these nice products. If they can't, you're going to get drugstore products. They might not be as sanitary because you can't afford to sanitize them all the time, or even just take the time because you're hopping from one job to another. And that's actually a good point as well. We guarantee that, we don't book multiple jobs in a day for our artists because that's exhausting.
Yeah.
So getting up at like 5 a.m., driving an hour to a wedding, which is the typical drive, I would say. Working a bunch of services and then having to immediately jet off to another one, that's not how we thrive here.
That stresses me out.
But
same as a photographer. Like I'm not booking anything in the morning if I'm leaving at 12 o'clock to go do your wedding.
100%.
There's no way.
Well, and then God forbid, you, the bride, you're running late or something happens that is going to delay your services. But your artist has to get out of there at a certain time.
Oh my gosh, could you imagine if for some reason, do you think of the horror stories, maybe the venue somehow got locked or there's a fire alarm going off for some reason or something that is delaying that service.
You never know.
And then you're like, oh, I can't because I've got to go.
Right.
I've got to go to another and then getting there. Oh yeah.
Right.
No,
And that's,
absolutely
I've
not.
seen it happen. And that's something that for my team, like I pay, again, that's why we have minimums. I guarantee my artists are going to make a certain amount of money on those dates so they don't have to take another
They
job.
don't have to
and
do
they
that.
don't, you know,
Yeah.
because they know they'll be able to buy themselves dinner that night.
Yeah. And one thing you actually brought up, you know, when you brought up Chop Chop Social Club with the lighting in the space, you know, what is one thing when, you know, because we say venue a lot, like going to a venue or being at a venue, you know, we live again in the Smokies where 10,000 wedding permits are issued by Sevier County every year.
Right.
It is
So
a
nuts.
huge capital.
Yeah.
But most of those places are at cabins. People get married at cabins. So maybe a little shout out to any bride that's looking at having a cabin, an Airbnb or something, like before maybe hair and makeup gets there, is there something they can do to help them help you in a way?
That's a great question. Yes, there totally is. We always have our artists arrive early to kind of figure out the mess and, you know, situate themselves. But, you know, first and foremost, we don't want to work in the bathroom, just so you know.
Okay. Okay.
Why not? That's so weird.
Explain that a
Talk
little bit
about
more.
suffocation of like hairspray fumes.
Yeah.
There's no windows in bathrooms, guys.
Yeah.
No.
Oh
And
my
they're
gosh.
small.
But then also people gotta go potty.
I know.
Right?
So everyone thinks
That's where my brain went to.
Right. And I have done it because, like, every once in a while you have to, especially when I was in Chicago, because, like, sometimes you're just in a small apartment and there's just literally nowhere to go. But here, we've got a little bit more space.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we don't want to work in the bathroom. Having a large table near some outlets is pretty much all we need.
Okay.
Lighting is important for makeup, but typically they will bring a light with them because
The hair and makeup artist.
yeah.
Okay.
Makeup artists, hairstylists
Okay.
don't usually bring a light, but
Okay.
makeup artists will bring a light typically.
Yeah.
But it's ideal for their clients to kind of be facing a window so they can get that natural light on there. But these cabins are all like really yellow and
Yeah.
things like that. So they'll usually bring a light to kind of like cancel that out.
Yeah.
So really just having a large table clear that are kind of near outlets.
Yeah.
And it's been interesting being down here too, because some of the buildings are so much older that
Okay.
I've been put in some cabins that like the entire room won't have an outlet because it's so old.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Do you bring an extension cord?
I bring, yeah, and everyone's different. I'm
just got a whole battery pack.
psychopath. My suitcase is like this big. I have like a big, what are they called? The pads with it has a bunch of outlets on it.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
A strip, a power strip.
Power
Yeah,
strip.
there we
Thank
go.
you.
Yeah.
I don't know why it's called a pad, but that and then like a 12-foot long extend. I bring it all because I started bringing things after I'm like, oh, that would have been nice. I'm like, oh, I got it. So I feel like I'm always passing.
Well, it's
things
always
out at the
when
wedding.
you don't, they're like, no, I'll be fine.
Yeah.
And then you get there, you're like,
Like,
I
I'm
am
not
so
fine. I'm not
glad
fine.
I brought my flashes because this is art.
Yeah.
And then actually, I'm sure what you love is when photographers come in and then they're like, we're going to turn off all the lights.
Oh, that's the thing.
I'm like, look at all this yellow. Let's turn it
That would be
off.
us. That's so weird. That's
That's the thing.
You
Yeah,
know.
it cracks me up because everyone does it a little different. And
That's
sometimes
hilarious.
they ask and sometimes they don't.
I do, you know, after having this conversation when we were planning this, I was like, you know, I do need to ask.
Yeah,
You know,
asking is great.
Yeah.
We get it. You got to
Yeah.
do your thing, but it can be hard if you're like tight lining someone's eyes and the
Yes,
lights
and then the
go
lights go off.
all
You're
of a
like,
sudden.
Right.
Yeah.
Or like we're on a timeline crunch and we're like, let's make it harder for you to get
Right,
done faster
I'm
by
like, she's
turning
been
off.
crying for 10 minutes. We had to stop. Give me
I'm
some
so
time.
sorry. I'm so sorry.
Can I go back for a second?
Yeah.
You were talking, what stood out to me when you were talking about foundation in your bag and just the variety of product that you have to have. I think that this is, you know, I'm getting married, so I have respect for all vendors because I work with vendors. I understand that there's back end always. But for people who don't necessarily understand or know what all goes behind, if you're charging, say, $400 or $300 or whatever the price is, it's not that you're going and walking away with $300.
Right.
You're spending $50 a bottle, is what you said, on so many different shades. That's also makeup goes bad. So you
Right.
have to go through it. Like, what are costs and things that if I am a bride, if brides are watching this and they're like, what actually goes into these services though? Are they trying to scam me, or is this actually costing that much? So can you kind of like go into that a little bit?
I love
That's a
that question,
good
Brittany.
question,
So
Brittany.
good, because it's true. You know, like I was saying before, there's a big price difference between like an individual artist and then a company.
Yeah.
And a big reason for that is what happens on the back end. And again, this is not to dog on anyone, how they do their business. It's just a plain simple fact. If you're booking, and I was for a long time just my own network, you know.
Yeah.
So if you're booking a solo artist, what's happening then is that artist is then responding to emails, things like that in their free time when they're not booked with a service, things like that. So correspondence can take a little longer, rightfully so. They're busy doing other things.
Yeah.
I know I was absolutely terrible at it when I did that, and people would not get responded to, things like that. And it tends to be a slightly less formal relationship. Not always, of course. I don't want to speak for everyone. But, you know, for us or any large company, how they're going to do it's going to be different, but you're paying for the back end. Like we have a booking specialist, my girl Crystal.
Oh, she's amazing. Yeah, she's a light.
Saves my life because again, I was really bad at it. So I'm on the artist side. Like I'm a creative, crazy person. Like I can't respond to your emails because I just can't. So, you know, so she does it. She's amazing. She's a scheduling specialist, you know, and our plan is to have more of those people as we grow and things like that as well. So really what you're paying for is efficiency, scheduling. You don't have to do it if you work with us. Like I tell all of our clients, we're set it and forget it.
Yeah.
You are welcome to reach out to us, but you don't have to, because we have all of our communication perfectly timed out. So when it's time for your preview day, we'll reach out to you. When it's time for us to collect your wedding day details so we can build you a custom schedule, we'll reach out to you. So we provide a lot of services on the back end that like no one really sees, but you get the benefit of. There's not going to be those 4 days you're trying to reach out to someone because you need a last minute change and you're not hearing back. We have an ironclad contract, you know, that we had lawyers look over and things like that. An individual's not probably going to have that. It's an expensive thing to do.
It is an expensive thing to do.
We have insurance. Again, individuals might not have, just different things that I would say the overall relationship is a tad more formal with the company.
Yeah.
And there's like kind of rules and things like procedures set in place. Like God forbid someone can't make it to your wedding day. It doesn't happen often, but like someone gets in a car accident or they get sick, a death in the family. There's all sorts of reasons why that could happen. Being on a team, we've come up with a plan, a backup plan for like what happens in that case.
Yeah.
And if you're working with an individual, they might have something like that, but they're much less likely to have a large arsenal of people,
Right.
you know. And then for us, we worked on our procedure portion of that as well. So like after you get your preview, all of our artists are required to fill out this form with us that they describe what they did. They take photos and they tell us what products they used. And we keep it on file. So that way, again, it doesn't really happen often, but if they are not able to make it, we can just send this file to the new artist and be like, here's what they did. So then it's a seamless transition.
Do you also
over.
use that then for like future couples or future brides?
What do you mean?
Like by chance for like, hey, we use this sort of hair and like this style, this product here on this bride. Do you like that? Do you do any of that sort of sharing? Or is it more like just making sure your current client is covered if there's an issue? Moving forward.
It's more so making sure that the current client is covered. I would say, you know, if we're exchanging looks and things like that, sharing looks, it'll probably be from our Instagram or our portfolio online, something like that. A lot of times artists won't take the most amazing photos in a studio afterwards, you know, which is fine. So we wouldn't really share. And a lot of times people don't really want their trial or previews to be seen
that's
either.
fair.
Oh, that's true.
fair.
That's fair.
We don't really post those.
That's a good point.
That's
I
really
didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
But if it's their wedding stuff, wedding day images and things like that.
You know, the thing though that was kind of funny off that question, Brittany, that you asked about like costs or other costs for what you're getting, my brain did immediately go like, oh, all the product. But you're
Yeah.
right. And I don't
It's
know why I
so-
think
I
about
know.
that for my own business. There's insurance. There's
Right.
Yeah.
there's things like, you know, your licenses to
Right.
do that
Yeah.
sort of stuff. All is part of that cost of it as well.
Yeah, and especially if you are working with someone that has a high level of professionalism, they're going to have all of those things in place. And let me tell you, it costs money
a lot
to
of
do
money.
those things. So as a company, you know, we charge X amount of dollars for the service, and our artists, depending on their ranking, you know, their how long they've been with us, how well we feel they perform, things like that, they get certain percentages of that. The lowest
Okay.
we ever do is 50%,
Okay.
which is very high for the area.
Yeah.
Because again, I believe the artists should be paid. I've made as low as like 5 to 10%. Which is
Wow.
an actual crime. It's illegal to
Wow.
do that. But,
Wow. Wow.
yeah. So I value paying them because I know they're going to want to work with us. They're going to put out good work and things like
Yeah.
that. But yes, they are absolutely only getting a portion of the overall sales because I have to pay my amazing booking staff
Right.
and things like that.
Yeah.
Insurance, rent, all that
All that
stuff
stuff.
goes into the cost of business.
Yeah.
So then that when you were talking about that, it almost made me think maybe as like a last topic for this is when brides are looking online, they get open the Google and they get open their Facebook, not to go full red flag. But I think I'm going to go full red flag here real quick.
Worst case
If
scenario.
I'm looking around and I feel like maybe in particular in Facebook bridal groups is an issue. What would I, as a future bride, be looking for as a red flag for hiring someone?
Ooh,
Like,
that's such
where-
a good question.
Is there something that's immediately that you see?
Yeah.
Like, are you in any of those Facebook?
I'm
do,
in
do
all
you
of
see
them.
Of course,
Yeah.
we all are.
Yeah.
We're just like,
Yes,
we're
yes.
in there just creeping along. Like,
Yeah.
we see all the things. But what's something like for you as a vendor that you see and you're immediately like,
So
that's odd.
are you asking for in terms of like vendors or when brides throw a request out there? On those
oh,
posts?
okay,
Well,
let's. Oh,
When brides throw a request for me, what
Okay.
I want to know genuinely is
Okay.
like brides, but what do you as a vendor see other vendors post that you're like, ooh, that's not a reputable service?
yeah, let's go
actually.
there. Yeah.
Honestly-
vendor to vendor.
Yeah.
No contract.
Yeah,
If someone
okay.
is saying you don't have to book a contract with me, red flag.
Red flag.
Because
Okay.
not only does the contract protect the artist, but it protects you, the client,
Yeah.
too. Because and this is not something that I saw a ton of in Chicago, but I've experienced a lot more down here. It feels like a lot of vendors will not have contracts and then they back out.
They back
Yes.
out.
I
they
see
ghost.
it
They
all
back
the
out.
time, and it's crazy to me. It's a wedding day, you
Yeah.
know. It's
Yeah.
not like it's a birthday party
Right.
or something.
Yeah.
So I would say if no one is making you sign a contract, don't work with them.
Don't
Okay.
work with them.
Because
okay.
you, and not even because they're bad at their job. That has nothing to do with it. You need to be protected. You're spending tons of money on these services.
Yeah.
And then to have someone ghost you after they've taken your deposit or whatever, like,
Yeah.
you know, protect yourself in that
Yeah.
scenario.
So
for
vendor
sure.
to vendor, no contract. What about anything posting a bride? Like a bride is posting something, and
Yeah.
that is a red flag from a vendor to a bride.
Anytime, you know, we understand that there's different budgets, of course, you know, but anytime someone just makes a post, it's like, I'm looking for cheap
I knew that's where you were gonna go.
I'm gonna pay an arm and a leg.
Arm and a leg.
Like, well, what does that mean to
Right,
you? Cheap
right.
means one thing to one person and
Right.
other things to another person. And I instantly don't want to respond to that because
Yeah.
I'm not cheap. You know,
Right.
and it's not even as a price point, but in my character, I
Yeah.
feel like
Yes,
I
yeah.
can't do that.
Like,
you
why would I
know?
want to type my name under somebody that thinks I'm cheap?
Right.
And I don't want to be hired just because I'm cheap. either.
Exactly.
Right. But then
You
what's
know.
funny is sometimes that cheap is not cheap.
It's
to
not.
them, it's like I'm willing to pay $300-400.
Right.
But to some, that is very expensive.
Yeah, it's
So-
all relative. So when you make a post or something like that, having a price point is the way to go. So
Yeah.
kind of making a point, say, I'm looking for hair and makeup for me and my bridal or a party. I would like to spend $200 for my makeup and $100 or $150 for my my bridal party.
Yes.
You know, per person. Like having a per person budget-ish is definitely the way to narrow down your list of vendors really quickly.
Okay, that's so helpful.
That is helpful. Okay.
Let's see. There was another question. So when you had talked about knowing, wedding bridal party size, that helps you kind of give an estimate of like how many people you're going to need, all of that. What if someone is like, I have 6 bridesmaids, but then like half of the bridesmaids don't want to do it. They want to do their own. Do you have any advice for people who have like some bridal party members who don't want to do anything, some bridal party members who want to do both hair and makeup professionally? Like I've been in a lot of weddings that it's been optional, which has been nice, but the final product sometimes is a little uneven because like some people are really done up. I don't know. How do you give advice to a bride that has bridal party members and even someone who may be listening to this that's in a wedding trying to decide?
I mean, I would definitely say that's such a good question. I would say decide what's important to you. I am an aesthetic psychopath, so it is very important to me for everyone to look at cohesive at the very least, but it might not be important to somebody else, and so if people be looking cohesive is important to you, then I wouldn't necessarily make hair and makeup optional. We've all got that one aunt that's still rocking the blue eyeliner
For
and
sure.
things like that. Do we want to let her loose that day? It's up to you. So
that is sometimes it's not the battle you want to fight.
Right. So that question leads me into, as photographers, we see, like you guys are we're like bye, everybody leaves. And then there's some touch-ups that happen in the mirror
on their own.
Oh, okay, see, we're gone.
Oh, yeah.
Well, we have 30 minutes at the end of our appointment times, and everyone does this different, but we plot out 30 minutes for touch-ups at the end.
Love that.
So if anyone is doing a touch-up when our company leaves, they just didn't speak up.
Yeah. Yes, that's an issue with their communication.
That's a thing to even talk about too, honestly. Like, speak up. We are here for your feedback. We don't want that, infamous TikTok video.
Right.
My brain went right
my
there.
brain was
Makeup off. Like, we're
Tell
here
me.
for you. We understand that, your idea of a dramatic eye might vary from what mine is.
Well, and I think that's true. Like same as, when you said what's glam to one may not be glam to another, or budget of one may not be budget another. So based off that, like, I'm going to wash the makeup off my face and things like that. And that goes to the previews, right? That you discussed earlier.
And we offer everyone, obviously they're an hour and a half, so you have plenty of time to offer some feedback. But we also, the next morning, will send our clients a post-preview survey that we're asking them how it went. Because sometimes it's a little bit more comfortable and this is why it's another bonus of working with a company. It can be easier to give us the feedback sometimes versus the artist, just because maybe you don't like confrontation or you didn't have the words in the moment. Whatever the reason is, we want you to be comfortable enough to let us know that so we can, give you the look of your dreams on your wedding day. So feedback is super important. And at least everyone on my team I know is really comfortable with that. Like, we don't take that personally. We're all talented, successful people. Like, it's personal, like beauty is personal. So it's totally okay if we got to scale something back or kick it up a notch. Totally fine.
I mean, it's just humans doing other makeup on other humans during a live event. Things happen, things change.
Things are not perfect.
Totally. Exactly.
Unfortunately.
It's good. Well, why don't we end it? Where can people find you?
So you can find us on Instagram at chopchop.beautyclub or the internet, just chopchopbeautyclub.com.
Fabulous. Well, thank you.
Thank you
so much for coming by.
Good
It's
to speak
delightful.
to you guys. Thank you.
It was great. Amazing.
There we go.